The first time I noticed something was off. We were at Alex's birthday party. Sarah's hand lingered on his shoulder a moment too long. Their eyes met across the room, with a frequency that went beyond casual friendship. Most people wouldn't have caught it. These micro-expressions, these subtle tells. But I've always been observant. Too observant for my own good. As it turns out, before I continue, please like this video, and please subscribe to our channel for more of this revenge stories coming your way on daily basis. Enjoy listening. My name is Daniel Mitchell. I'm 36 years old, married for 8 years to a woman I thought I knew. Sarah and I met in graduate school, both of us pursuing MBAs with dreams of corner offices and comfortable futures. She was brilliant, ambitious, with a laugh that could fill an entire room. I fell hard and fast. We built a life together, the renovated craftsman in a good school district. Successful careers, a wide circle of friends. From the outside we were the couple others aspired to be. Alex Spencer had been my best friend since undergrad. He stood beside me at our wedding, held my head over the toilet during my bachelor party, helped us move into our first apartment when we couldn't afford movers. He was family, more like a brother than a friend. When his tech startup failed 3 years ago, I pulled strings to get him hired at my company. When he went through that brutal divorce 2 years back, our guest room became his temporary home for nearly 3 months. I trusted them both completely. That was my first mistake. It started with small things, the kind you can easily rationalize away. Sarah began paying more attention to her appearance. New clothes, a different hairstyle, hitting the gym with renewed dedication. I told myself I should be grateful to have a wife who took care of herself. Then came the schedule changes, client meetings that ran unusually late, weekend workshops that hadn't appeared on our shared calendar, sudden girls' nights out with friends I'd never heard her mention before. "You working late again?" I asked one Thursday evening, phone pressed to my ear as I stared at the cold dinner I'd prepared. "Yeah. Sorry," Sarah replied. Traffic noise in the background. "This new client is demanding. You know how it is." I did know. We both worked hard. That's why I didn't question her at first. Then Alex started declining our regular basketball games. His excuses were vague. He was tired, had errands to run, needed alone time to process his divorce. I gave him space. That's what friends do. The signs were all there, scattered like breadcrumbs, waiting for me to follow the trail. But I didn't want to see it. Not until that night I came home early from a business trip, flight cancelled due to weather, and found Sarah's car parked 2 blocks from our house. Strange, I thought, until I recognized Alex's Audi parked directly behind. I sat in my rental car for nearly an hour, watching our house from a distance. The living room lights were dimmed, their silhouettes moved across the windows. When I finally drove away, my hands were shaking so badly I had to pull over. I didn't confront them. Some primal instinct told me to wait, to watch, to be certain. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe I was becoming paranoid. But deep down, I knew. "Have you noticed Sarah's been different lately?" I asked Megan, Sarah's sister at Sunday brunch. Sarah had left early for a quick meeting at the office. Megan stirred her mimosa, eyes not quite meeting mine. "Different how?" "Distant. Distracted." "She seems fine to me," Megan said too quickly, then changed the subject. Later, I would remember that moment as another piece of the puzzle. Megan knew something. The way she avoided my gaze, her sudden interest in the restaurant decor, classic tells of deception. It made me wonder who else knew, who else was lying to my face while patting me sympathetically on the back. The following week, I installed tracking software on Sarah's phone and laptop. Not my proudest moment, but I needed certainty before my world imploded. I told myself it was a one-time boundary violation that would either confirm my worst fears or allow me to put these suspicions to rest. The first location ping came 3 days later. Sarah's phone had been at Alex's apartment for 2 hours on a Tuesday afternoon, when she was supposedly at a marketing seminar across town. The next day, their text messages appeared in my dashboard. Years of friendship made their code transparent to me. "Alex, do you still have that market research I sent you?" Sarah, "Yes, but I need help reviewing it." Meeting room 3, 2 p.m. Alex, "Perfect. I'll bring coffee." Market research. Meeting rooms. We didn't even work in the same department. I sat in my office that afternoon, staring at the wall as my email inbox filled with unread messages. The spreadsheet on my screen remained untouched. Outside my window, life continued. People rushing to meetings, laughing over inside jokes, planning weekend activity. My life had split in two. The before, when I was just Daniel, successful marketing director, loving husband, loyal friend, and the after, where I had become something else entirely. A detective, a voyeur, a silent observer of my own life's demolition. You seem distracted lately, Sarah said one night as we prepared dinner, her knife rhythmically chopping bell peppers. Everything okay at work? I looked at her, really looked at her. She was still beautiful, still the woman whose face I'd memorized over thousands of mornings and nights. But now I saw something else too. The practiced concern, the slight tension around her eyes, the way she kept her body angled away from mine. Just busy, I replied, focusing on stirring the pasta sauce. New campaign law. You work too hard, she said, and the genuine affection in her voice nearly broke me. How could she still sound like she cared? How could she stand there, playing house when only yesterday she'd been in Alex's bed? Because that's what the evidence showed. Photos from the security camera I'd hidden in my car, parked strategically near his apartment building. Screenshots of their conversations, filled with double meanings and inside jokes. Calendar entries deleted, but recovered through backup files. Credit card statements showing meals for two at restaurants where I'd never been. Hotel charges disguised as business expenses. I had become a curator of their betrayal, methodically collecting and categorizing each piece of evidence. The digital trail was damning, but it wasn't enough. I needed to understand why. Why had the two people I trusted most in the world chosen to hurt me this way? Remember when we talked about having kids? I asked Sarah, as we lay in bed, a careful foot of space between us. My question was deliberate, timed to catch her off guard. She stiffened slightly. What made you think of that? Just remembering how excited we were about it a couple years ago, before we decided to focus on our careers first. Sarah rolled to face me, her expression guarded. Do you regret waiting? No, I wanted to say. I'm grateful we don't have children to witness what's coming next. Instead, I said, sometimes I wonder what our lives would be like if we'd made different choices. She reached out, her hand resting on my arm. We made the right decision for us, Daniel. There's still time. I covered her hand with mine, feeling the cool metal of her wedding ring. The same ring I'd slipped onto her finger, as we promised forever to each other. The same hand that now touched Alex with an intimacy that had once belonged only to me. Yeah, I whispered. Plenty of time. But time was running out for the life we'd built on lies. That night, after Sarah fell asleep, I slipped out of bed and drove to our favorite lookout point above the city. I sat on the hood of my car until dawn broke over the skyline, making my decision. I invited them both to dinner, a celebration for my promotion, I said. Sarah seemed relieved at my improved mood after weeks of withdrawal. Alex accepted with his typical enthusiasm, promising to bring my favorite bourbon. Should we invite anyone else? Sarah asked as she marked the date on our calendar. No, I replied, smiling. Just us. The three most important people in my life. The irony wasn't lost on me. I spent the next week finalizing my plan. I spoke with a lawyer, a discreet professional recommended by a colleague, and moved half our savings to a separate account. I informed my boss I might need personal leave soon. I backed up all my evidence to multiple secure locations. Each night I returned home and kissed my wife hello, asked about her day, and listened patiently to her fabricated stories about clients and projects. Each morning I nodded to Alex in the office hallway, exchanging pleasantries about weekend plans and upcoming deadlines. I became an actor in the theater of my own marriage, playing the role of unsuspecting husband, with Oscar-worthy precision. The performance exhausted me. There were moments when the facade cracked, when I'd find myself staring at family photos on our mantle, wondering if any of it had been real. Had she ever loved me? Had he ever been a true friend? Or had I simply been convenient, gullible Daniel, too trusting to question, too comfortable to notice? The evening of our dinner arrived with perfect weather, warm with a gentle breeze, the kind of spring night that usually filled me with optimism. I set the table with our best china, decanted an expensive bottle of wine, and prepared Sarah's favorite meal. Each deliberate action felt like a farewell to the life I'd believed in. This looks amazing, Sarah said when she came home, kissing my cheek. You didn't have to go to all this trouble. It's a special occasion, I replied, meaning it in ways she couldn't yet understand. When the doorbell rang, Sarah volunteered to answer it. I watched from the kitchen as she greeted Alex, their embrace lasting a beat too long, their smiles carrying a secret language. He handed her a gift bag, the promised bourbon, and followed her into the dining room. Daniel, congratulations, man. Alex pulled me into a hug, clapping my back with fraternal affection. Corporate director of marketing, always knew you had it in you. I returned his smile, accepting the bourbon with appropriate gratitude. Couldn't have done it without your support. We sat down to dinner, the three of us passing dishes and making conversation as if nothing was wrong. We reminisced about college days, laughed at old jokes, discussed future plans. To anyone watching, we would have appeared to be exactly what we claimed to be, a loving couple and their close friend, celebrating a professional milestone. But beneath the polite conversation, I was cataloguing every glance, every accidental touch, every inside reference. The evidence continued to accumulate, even now in real time. Alex filling Sarah's wine glass without asking, Sarah automatically passing him the salt before he requested it. Their synchronized laughter, their mirrored body language. After the main course, I stood to clear the plate. Don't start dessert without me, I said cheerfully. I've got something special planned. In the kitchen, I braced myself against the counter, breathing deeply. This was the moment everything would change. There would be no going back once I opened the folder sitting on my desk upstairs. My hands trembled slightly as I arranged dessert plates on a tray. Need any help? Sarah's voice startled me. She stood in the doorway, concern creasing her brow. I shook my head. I've got it under control. She hesitated, then moved closer, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. You seem tense. Is everything okay? The familiar scent of her perfume surrounded me. The same perfume I'd smelled on Alex's collar last week when I deliberately bumped into him at the office. I gently disengaged from her embrace. Everything's fine, I assured her. Why don't you go keep Alex company? I'll be right there. She gave me a long look before returning to the dining room. I heard their murmured conversation resume, punctuated by soft laughter. Taking a deep breath, I added the folder to my tray and walked back in. Before dessert, I announced, setting down the tray, I wanted to share something with both of you. I slid the folder across the table. The room fell silent, as Sarah glanced at Alex, confusion evident on both their faces. What's this? Sarah asked, not reaching for it. Open it, I said quietly. Please. Alex shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his earlier joviality evaporating. Daniel, what's going on? I think you both know. Sarah hesitantly opened the folder, her face drained of color as she flipped through the first few pages. Screenshots of their messages, photos from various rendezvous, detailed timelines of their deception. Daniel, her voice broke. This isn't. Don't. I cut her off, my voice remaining eerily calm. Don't insult me by lying. Not anymore. Alex reached for the folder, his hands shaking slightly as he examined its contents. Jesus. Daniel, you've been spying on us. Interesting that that's your first concern, I noted, not the fact that you've been sleeping with my wife. The accusation hung in the air between us, finally spoken aloud after months of silent knowledge. Sarah covered her face with her hands, shoulders slumping in defeat. Alex stared at the evidence, jaw clenched. How long have you known? Sarah finally asked, her voice barely audible. Long enough. I poured myself another glass of wine, the normalcy of the action incongruous with the situation. What I want to know is how long it's been going on, and why. They exchanged glances, that silent communication I'd grown to recognize and despise. 6 months, Alex admitted, meeting my gaze for the first time. It started after my divorce finalized. 6 months, half a year of lies. Half a year of coming home to a woman who had just been with my best friend. Half a year of planning business trips around their schedule, of listening to Alex talk about getting back into dating while he was sleeping with my wife. Daniel, we never meant to hurt you, Sarah began, tears streaming down her face. It just happened. Things like this don't just happen. I interrupted. You made choices. Both of you. Every secret meeting, every lie, every time you looked me in the eye and pretended everything was normal. Those were choices. You're right, Alex said quietly. We fucked up. Badly. That's an understatement. I laughed humorlessly. My wife and my best friend. It's almost a cliche, isn't it? Sarah reached across the table toward me, but I pulled back. I was going to tell you, she insisted. We both were. We just didn't know how. When? I demand. After how many more months of deception? After you'd decided if I was worth leaving? After you'd figured out the most advantageous X strategy? Neither answered, their silence confirming my suspicions. That's what I thought. I stood up, suddenly needing distance. I've filed for divorce. The papers are with my lawyer. He'll contact you next week, Sarah. Her eyes widened. Daniel, please. We can talk about this. Maybe counseling. There's nothing to discuss. My voice remained steady despite the storm inside me. I've made my decision. Alex stood too, his expression a mixture of guilt and resignation. What about work? I've requested a transfer to our Seattle office. I informed him. HR approved it yesterday. I leave next month. You're moving across the country? Sarah looked stricken. What about our house? Our life here. Our life ended when you started sleeping with him. I said simply. The house is yours if you want to buy me out. If not, we'll sell it and split the proceeds. My lawyer will handle the details. The finality of my words hung in the air. This wasn't a confrontation designed to win her back, or punish them temporarily. This was an ending. I loved you, I told Sarah, surprised by the past tense that came naturally now. And I trusted you, I added, looking at Alex. That's on me. I won't make that mistake again. Daniel. They both started simultaneously. I held up my hand. I think you should leave now. Both of you. Take the evidence with you. There are copies, of course, but those are yours. A reminder of what you did. They stood frozen for a moment, as if expecting more. Yelling, perhaps. Or a breakdown. But I had nothing left to give them. No anger. No tears. No pleas for explanation. Or reconciliation. Just a profound exhaustion. And the quiet certainty that I deserved better than this betrayal. Eventually, they gathered their things. Sarah wiped her tears with trembling hands. Alex collected the folder with downcast eyes. At the door, Sarah turned back. I did love you, Daniel. I still do. Just not in the right way anymore. I'm so sorry. I nodded once, acknowledging her words without accepting them as absolution. As the door closed behind them, I returned to the dining room and methodically cleared the untouched dessert plates. The house felt different already. No longer a home, but simply a structure I would soon leave behind. Outside I heard muffled voices. Sarah and Alex arguing in hushed tones, before two car doors slammed and engines started. I didn't watch them drive away. Instead I poured the last of the wine, raised my glass to the empty chairs, and made a silent toast to the future. Uncertain and unplanned, but undeniably mine. My name is Daniel Mitchell. For 8 years I was a husband. For 15 years, I had a best friend. Tonight I became neither and both. A man betrayed but not broken, ending one chapter to begin writing another. Sometimes the most painful endings bring the most necessary beginning. And as I sat alone in the quiet aftermath of truth, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not just grief for what I'd lost, but relief. The weight of suspicion and pretense had lifted. Whatever came next would at least be honest. And after months of living with lies, honesty felt like the greatest luxury of all. Thank you for listening to my story. If my story has touched you, please like this video so that it will be shown to many others out there. Also support this channel by subscribing, so that you will be the first to receive our daily revenge story.